Oh man. Okay, it's happening. All right, so I am currently, you'll probably see a little better in a minute. I'm currently ripping the peeling stick. This stuff really stuck. Ripping the peeling stick from our cabinets because we're moving. And you know what? The most exciting part about moving, because usually I wouldn't be so sing-songy about moving, but the really exciting part about moving this time is that we just bought a house. Okay, well, we agreed to buy a house. We technically haven't finished giving them all the money, right? Because our closing date is still ahead of us. But I wanted to, I don't know, I guess start vlogging about it now. Just so that when stuff really starts popping off, then it'll just get more exciting from here. But yeah, a lot of people didn't know or don't know, and I apologize to family and friends who feel like, oh my god, we should have, why didn't you tell us? But a lot of it was just the idea of like, we don't know if this sale's gonna go through and all this other stuff. Like, buying a house is kind of a long process. There's so many steps to it. We didn't realize that at first. So if you're thinking about buying a house, take your time. Do your research, save your money, you know, all that rigmarole. But yeah, see, this is why I covered these cabinets. You can see them now actually, because they're this old, you know, wood, whatever this stuff is, vinyl, I guess, apartment type material or whatever. And I was like, I can't totally live with that. I had to do some adjusting. I made some adjustments. So I covered the bottom half in black. Now you can't see me. It worked out pretty well for the most part. It got a little dirty and it was kind of tough to clean, and so I wasn't super jazzed about it, but it still looks better than this. But now I am tasked with pulling it all off. Our closing date is, what's today? 17 days away, technically. They're trying to push it up. I think this guy really wants to get this house off his hands. They're trying to push it up maybe by a few days. So if we do, it'll be, you know, by a couple of days. But I know it won't. It'll definitely be more than, it'll be over, you know, 2 weeks until we actually move. But yeah, I'm really excited. We were technically homeowners before. I'm gonna have to rearrange where you are so you can kind of see my face and stuff more. Yeah, you're over there. All right, so we were technically homeowners before, and so that sort of set us back a little bit. And I won't call it a setback. I think it's what we as people look at as a setback, but divine intervention is would call it a setup, right? So we were homeowners because we inherited his parents' old home from them. They were no longer living there. He'd been living there with his brother for a while. His brother moved out. It was just him. And so when we got married, he was like, hey, I'm going to buy this house for my parents for you, which was a beautiful gift from them, you know, through him. And so we kind of, it was paid off, which was amazing. That was the really cool part about it. So like, huge blessing, you know, we didn't have to take on a mortgage. But we were paying them, you know, a small amount monthly, just to kind of exchange a little, the symbolism of kind of exchanging hands, if you will, of the house, so that we could, you know, officially say like, hey, this is our house, it's in our name and all that kind of stuff. And so we owned that home, but technically we hadn't went out searching, looking, you know, with a realtor and found something and bought it, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of what put us in that position. To where we owned a home, but we weren't technically home buyers. Do you know what I mean? And so when we came around to the point where we're like, all right, we're ready to buy a house, we were trying to get in on some of those, like, see, this kind of sucks because some of the stuff came off on it. So if you want to do this at home, this might not be the best choice, but it's in an apartment with these ugly old cabinets anyway. Hopefully they won't mind too much. But yeah, so we were trying to get some new homeowner programs, or take advantage of those new homeowner programs. There is one, you know, with our credit union, But what was unfortunate is technically we'd been homeowners. Even if we weren't home buyers, we'd owned a home within a certain period of time. And so that made it so we technically didn't qualify for the program. And they said if you wait until maybe it was like January, February of 2020, that at that point, because it had been a certain amount of years, maybe it was 3 years or something like that, a certain amount of years, then we would qualify again. And so we were so anxious about like, okay, let's get out of this apartment, but we're like, wait, let's give ourselves a little more time to get to that point so we can try and take advantage of some of those programs that would help us with paying for this house, right? So we waited, and we signed our lease for another 6 months instead of a full year, because we're like, let's just give ourselves an extra 6 months. I'm kind of giving you the short version of this. Maybe I'll do a longer explanation later. If you've got questions, leave them in the comments. But we signed our lease for another 6 months, and said, all right, we got 6 months to find a house, to figure out what we want to do, yada, yada, you know. And so we started, well, at that point, my husband started looking. I'd already been looking at houses on like Zillow and like, you know, Realtor.com and online sites and stuff like that. And so he started looking more officially around then. We started thinking about a budget at that point. We started working with, you know, our credit union to see what that would look like at that point, all that. And so we finally got to the point where we were like, okay, it's time. What happens now? And it was like, oh, the new homeowner programs weren't technically as good as I don't know, it wasn't technically ideal. And so it was kind of like, dang, we didn't really need to wait much longer because it's not making a huge difference. But again, there's so many details there. I promise I'll probably get into them some other time. So many details there. But we finally got to the point where we were like, all right, let's just do it. And we had the process down. We, not the process, but we kind of knew what we wanted to do. And so we officially, you know, hired a realtor and started looking at houses. And this is the story that I really want to tell. So I'm sorry if I skip over all the financial advice. But we started working with a realtor. Gosh, we didn't work with him for very long either before we actually found the house that we wanted. We saw maybe 8 or so houses with him. One of the times my husband went by himself with the guy. A couple of other times it was just the two of us, and then one of the times it was us with our stepdaughter, you know. And so we were out looking at these houses, and even the realtor was like, this one's not worth the money, you know. And I think maybe he hadn't seen them, shown them to anybody else. And so, dang it, I gotta be careful. He hadn't necessarily shown them to anybody else, so maybe he hadn't actually seen the houses on the inside. He just knew from all the details, the specs or whatever, that it was something that we were looking for. We were trying to find something that was, you know, at least 3 bedrooms, and we wanted maybe 2 bathrooms or whatever. And for some reason, that's really hard to come by in Dearborn. There were a handful of houses that were like 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. We're like, we don't want 1 bathroom. Even in our apartment right now, we technically have 2 bathrooms, you know, 2 beds and 2 bathrooms. And we're like, we can't go back. We can't go back. And so it was really seeming like it was hard to come by. Okay, give me a second. This one's getting kind of tough. I might have to unscrew it and take it out of the corner. No, this one's good. I got it. I just got to find the right angle. Give me a second. I don't know. It's just coming off in pieces at this point. It's so sticky. Okay. But yeah, so at this point, I'm thinking what's in my head and kind of what the dream is. We're not necessarily going to find it in the area, because just most of these houses are older. My husband was trying to get, you know, a newish house, not necessarily like it had to be built in like 2014 or 2015 or something like that. Like he just wanted something that wasn't like 1920, you know. And so a lot of the houses in this area are just old. They're old houses, and that's just the reality. Some cities are old cities. That's okay. And so we kind of set our hearts on something that wasn't older than like 1950. I think that was kind of our limit. 1948, sometimes we would push it down just because we weren't seeing a lot of houses. And so we're like, well, let's widen our search just a little. And so it was a little discouraging, but at the same time, I'm like, I mean, you know, you can't find a house immediately. The other part, and the realtor told us this, is that the market was still kind of hot. We wanted to wait for it to cool off, you know, and people weren't really buying. Most people were selling. We were thinking, you know, in the midst of the pandemic that a lot of people would be, you know, moving, downgrading, unfortunately losing their home, you know. And so we figured it would be a good time to try and find one, and one that people were really trying to get rid of, and yada yada, you know. But the market was still pretty hot. The good houses were going fast, especially because there's not a ton of like, this is a great house. There were a lot of houses that were going to need some work. They needed, the basement wasn't finished, or, you know, there was just that old wood paneling and stuff like that. So it was a really hard search, right? So one day we were out with the realtor. And we saw a couple houses, and we were like, okay, that wasn't it. We didn't see the one we wanted. But we just kind of always did a thing where we'd ride around the neighborhood and see if there were other houses that we had considered or were thinking about, or maybe we didn't notice, and, you know, just seeing if signs were up, right? We see this house that's for sale by owner. So the realtor probably wouldn't have even noticed it or seen it, or it wouldn't have come up because it was for sale by the owner. They weren't necessarily using a realtor, right? We pull up on the house. Looks like nobody's there. But there's a little, one of those stands out there that's holding the one-sheeter that's got the information. We're selling it for this much, and these are the basic, you know, specs about the house. It's got this many rooms. It's this year, yada, yada. So we pull up on it. We're like, this is a nice house. And there was something in me that just kind of was like, I don't know. It was an eerie feeling. One of those things that's like, huh, feels like the beginning of something. You know what I mean? But I didn't know what to call it. I didn't think a whole lot of it at the time. I'm like, okay, whatever. We've been looking for houses. We found a cute one. We haven't even seen it. We don't know. So we get the one-sheeter. It's got a phone number on it. Hubby calls the phone number. Nobody answers. He leaves a voicemail. We're interested in seeing your house. You know, let us know when we can come look. We're open. We got so much time to just come look, you know. And no one called back. So the next day, he's like, I think I'm going to call back again. I'm going to try and call again. I'm like, yeah. Call again about that house. Because, you know, people get lost, busy. They forget you called. Maybe there's more than one person who's called them. I don't know. So he calls again and gets the guy. And he's like, yeah, we want to come look at the house. And he's like, oh, yeah. Like, almost right away. He's like, if you wanted to come in that moment, I think you would have let us come right in that moment. But we arranged to go see the house, right? We go see it. And I think Kiddo was with us, of course. This is the first time we saw this house. We go to see it. That house was everything, okay? First off, it's 4 bedrooms. It's got 4 bathrooms, 3.5. That's 4, technically. 4 toilets. 4 bathrooms. The basement is finished. Everything is absolutely immaculate. From top to bottom, this house is perfect. At least from our perspective, it looks like it. I'm no house inspector. I don't know anything about construction. Sorry, that sounds scary. I don't know anything about construction. This house seems amazing. Kiddo's already picking her room out. She's like, this one's going to be my room, and we're going to paint it this color. And she's like, this house is great. This is an awesome house. Are we going to buy this house? Is this house ours? And we're like, chill out. You're going to take the price up. But she was excited. We were excited. But we're like, I mean, I don't know. And technically, it's like this much out of our price range, right? This much outside the budget we were anticipating. And so we're just like, yeah, it's great. The guy seemed really cool. He spoke in so much detail about this house, so much detail about himself. Tells us everything. Obviously, guys, this is the house, okay? This is the house. You can tell by now by the way that I'm talking about it. The guy's so nice. So excited about his neighborhood, tells us about his neighbors, tells us about how all the stuff that he did with his bare hands, you know, all the construction he did on his own or with help, just, you know, gushing with the details. And we're like, wow, he's really excited about his house. But also the fact that he wanted to give us so much information made me feel like this guy must have a good feeling about us. He must be really comfortable with us. Now, mind you, he is a Caucasian male. Maybe he's 60 at most, in his 50s. So it just, because of the racial tension in the air, and I'll be honest, because of the racial tension in the air, I don't always anticipate that people of that demographic look at me and see someone of value, or someone that they, think has enough money to buy a house. And so a part of me was like, man, I don't expect, I don't know. It's just that part of you that doesn't expect someone to believe in you and care about you and think that they want to do business with you. But this guy really seemed like he wanted to. And I was like, he's, one person of that demographic who seems to not care about, our race, our color, our gender, our age, or anything like that. Like, our demographics didn't seem to be getting in his way. And I appreciated that a lot. Some people mask it and they hide it well, but I just feel like he wouldn't have gone as far as he did with us, and he wouldn't have had so much conversation with us if he didn't, do you know what I'm saying? If he didn't think that all people are awesome. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. That's like the big stuff. But we started with the process. Now, mind you, though, this guy did not want a realtor, an agent, anybody involved in the process. We are new home buyers. We've never gone through this process before. So it was really a little stressful and kind of scary to be like, but we really want this house. So, okay, let's just figure out how to do it by ourselves. He was so good about everything, explaining things in great detail to us. My husband saw him a number of times without me, and they were just doing all this business together, as the heads of their own households or whatever. And he was so good to us. He was so good to my husband, so kind, so patient. Never at any point was he like, you guys are dumb, don't do this, or anything. He just kept helping us through the process, because I guess he saw us and he was like, those are the people. I want you to have my house. You know what I mean? He agreed to it. And at some point, I think they were saying, was there a point where someone else was putting in an offer? There might have been a point where someone else was putting in an offer, I think. But we were like, let's do it. We prayed on it 1,000 times. We had everyone in our family look at this house, and they said it was absolutely immaculate. By the time the home inspector came in, and the time on the process, he was like, this is perfect. I'd move in now if you weren't buying this house. I want this house. We had the appraiser come in and say, whoa, what the heck? Like, everybody was so impressed with this home, and I'm like, please let it be ours. I mean, of course, after you're going through so many steps, you come to realize, like, okay, it's ours. There's no way that it's going to fall. It's going to slip through our fingers at this point. All we need to do is make sure, we get the loan, as long as we get somebody who agrees to give us money. And I got good credit. My husband's got a slightly better credit than I do even. And so at a certain point, he applied just by himself, because I wasn't working and my income wouldn't matter and stuff like that. And his credit score is technically just a little higher than mine. And so, we set ourselves up for this. It was prayer, it was preparation, it was things happening in the natural and things happening in the spiritual that really just aligned to make this happen for us. And I'm so excited about it. So that's kind of where we are at this point. And now I have to start packing up. In my brain, it's purge and pack. Purge and pack. There's so many things that are not going to come with us. There's things we probably need to donate as far as clothes, or things we're never going to use again. We've got a plastic trash can. I'm just looking at things now. Trash isn't important, but I'm just saying, for example, we've got a plastic trash can. We want to get a new flip top, one of those metal cans or whatever, something a little more durable, whatever. We're going to get rid of things like that. There's pieces of furniture that we're never going to have. We want to upgrade our bed size, so we're going to get rid of our bed. Like the kid, there's a bunk bed. Oh my God, you guys, that's the other thing. There's so many random things, furniture, fixtures, all this stuff that they're just leaving in the house. There's a mirror. You know how expensive mirrors are? If you're a real adult, you know how expensive mirrors are. But there's so much stuff in this house. It's just the little details. So many things they're leaving behind. And they're like, you can have it. So the kid wants the bunk bed that's in the house already. So she can have that bunk bed. I've got to figure out what to do with her frame and headboard. I want my husband to sell her furniture. We're going to give her our old furniture because it feels like it's more her than us. So she can have our old furniture. We'll get new furniture, like a whole new bedroom set. Like it's such a process to go from owning, a couple of rooms in an apartment to an entire house. And so I have been searching high and low on the entire internet, and I'll show you guys as I start decorating. I'm going to make sure I do some vlogging for decorating, but it's such a big process and I'm really excited about it, and I just want to take you guys on this journey with us. And so this is kind of my intro video. It might end up being longer than I want it to be, but I think it'll be helpful too for our family, because then you guys get a few more details and you get to kind of see where I am in this whole process. I've been working on the same cabinet this entire time I've been talking to you guys. It shouldn't take this long, but it's mostly because I'm chatting with you. But I don't know. I'm in a good mood about it right now, and nobody's at home, so I can record kind of freely. But guys, I don't know. I want to encourage people with our journey. That's why I share. That's why I want to talk to you guys about stuff that's going on in such kind of an open and pretty raw kind of way. I don't want this to be a super edited video with jazz hands and pretty songs. Like, maybe I'll put a song behind me just because you guys won't have to worry about listening so much to the washing machine. I'm washing clothes, you guys. It's a pandemic, okay? I do like huge loads once a month. I don't clean my clothes often. I'm not wearing anything. I'm not going anywhere. But anyway, please start asking questions, because as I go through this series, I guess it's a series now, right? As I go through this series, I really want to be able to give you guys the information that you want. Crap, I'm gonna have to take the cabinet down because I gotta get in the corner. But I really want to be able to give you guys the information that you want out of this process, and not just like gush about whatever I think is cute. So please feel free to ask questions in the comments. Contact me on my other social media. I'll post them in here somewhere or whatever. That'll be the only editing thing I'll probably do. But yeah, ask questions. Let me know which parts of this process you're interested in hearing more about. We learned so much, especially without a realtor. We had to do a lot by ourselves, but it does cut some of the fees and the costs. That's one less person to give a cut to, for us and for the seller. So there's that. But I'm going to keep going with this process. Hopefully I'll get all my cabinets uncovered today. I just want to check it off my list. There's so many things we need to do. Like I'm saying, it's purge and pack right now. What can we clean up? What can we pack away? What can we get rid of that we're not going to need over the next 2 weeks? We're going to have the kid for this coming week, and she'll be in school, so she'll be doing a lot of school stuff. I'll be able to still kind of run around and do whatever. And then the following week, she'll be back with her mom. We're still trying to see, this is other stuff, I'm just talking now, but we're still trying to see if they're going to take them back in person. It was technically an in-person plan, but they keep looking at the numbers and they're like, it's not safe, and so they keep kind of pushing the date back, and we're just like, man, we were so excited for her to be able to go back. She's at a new school. We want her to see people in person. We want her to make these friends in person, but of course we want her to be safe as well. So whenever the school's ready, hopefully we'll be able to trust that. But yeah, we've got the next 2 weeks to do a week of having her present here for school, and then the following week she'll be gone. The week after that she'll be back, but that'll be like moving week. We're gonna try and pull some family and friends together for a moving team and get a truck or whatever we're gonna do. We might have to shell out a few dollars to make this a really solid moving process. Don't play with screwdrivers. But yeah, we might have to shell out a few dollars to a company or something like that, just because it might be easier. The only big thing we're moving, oh god, it's just that couch. Oh, that'll be nice, because we're pretty much getting rid of both the beds. This will be good. But yeah, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope this is exciting for you as it is exciting for me. And again, I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to inspire and to encourage. I'm not just here to talk about myself. So guide me, direct me into the direction that you're interested in learning about, because That's what I want to share. I want to share for you and not for myself. Black Lives Matter.